dude, you don't understand science fiction or something. What are you talking about? Now, I haven't read the Watchmen graphic novels either, so we're even. But I mean, the main problem with your reviews you have nose piercing, obviously. But I think that's been covered, so I'm gonna skip that. But really, okay. First of all, the Watchmen is this great thing because it's like a continuation. I mean, I'm not a big into comics, and when I did read them as a kid, I missed a lot of stuff that you get if you become a more adult fan. Your brain starts to wrap around all these details. But I have in my mind this idea that there's this DC universe, and everything's like Leave It to Beaver, clean cut, and sort of perfect. That the cops love Superman, and vice versa, and everything else. Then you get into the '60s era with Marvel, and you have Spider-Man, who's considered a vigilante by the cops. And the comics in general were more gritty, and they had this, but still, the superheroes were noble. Okay, the X-Men I never really read, but I guess it went into, they also had problems with the government, and they were pretty much in the right, but, maybe they were more ambiguous characters. And then with the Watchmen, it's great because you really sit back and say, well, let's try once again. Let's make this even more realistic. What if you had a bunch of vigilantes, the kind of people that have a vigilante attitude, and they had superpowers? And it would be a right-wing nightmare, and that's what the movie says. We've got Nixon for 5 terms or something. I mean, it's pretty unambiguous criticism right there. It's very clear that they're saying that if we lived in a world with vigilantes that had superpowers, it'd be a right-wing nightmare. So right there, I like the movie already. That was good enough for me to like the movie. Now, what they're going to say within that framework, okay, and then what their character development skills are, okay, these are important to making this thing, like top-notch. But on the other hand, in the realm of science fiction, I mean, a lot of the effort goes into inventing this world and what the ramifications of the world would be. The world is a character in a story like this. Not everybody can be Octavia Butler and Stanislaw Lem and Ursula K. Le Guin and have like these amazing worlds with amazingly apt ramifications and awesome literary character development. But having said that, I don't think they did too badly. I mean, okay, obviously Dr. Manhattan does evoke a lot of God metaphor, but it's very much a way of looking at God of an atheist who says, but what if there really was something that might as well be considered a God? And then it takes that character, and that character is just as flawed. And even though it's the most perfect character in some respects of the superheroes, his subtle flaws are even more devastating than the serious flaws of a less powerful person, because he's so powerful that he can have a flaw and it can ruin millions. I mean, they show him going through Vietnam, winning Vietnam, and again, that's unambiguous. I mean, the people that think we should have won, John McCain, we should win Vietnam, we still can if we stick in there. It wasn't for those people. That victory in Vietnam wasn't for those people. This was a victory in Vietnam for Nixon, which led to, including that the comedian, makes that comment that he had some interaction with Woodward and Bernstein or whatever, and Nixon continues to be president. So there's that. The conversation with the woman on Mars, wasn't the best writing. The revelation that her father was her mother's rapist and her mother had willfully had consensual sex with her would-be rapist after that, cheating on her husband to do so. I mean, I actually looked up online to see what the backstory was with that, to find out that there really isn't any. Evidently in the comic it's mentioned in retrospect, just like in the movie. So, and that bothered me. That kind of portrayal bothered me, but and I couldn't find a good reason for it. And but on the other hand, there is a solid idea that there, because though it wasn't as compelling to us, the audience, it could easily conceivably be compelling to John, because he loves her and he's really kind of looking for an excuse to reconnect. And in following her memory, he realized that from a tragic event you have this unlikelihood of a particular person coming into being, and it applies to all people. And I don't know, that's kind of a solid thing. Now, in terms of this superhero turned supervillain, where his evil plan is to save the world, you know, blow up half of New York City to save the world. If I thought the movie was actually advocating that that was a solution, maybe I would agree with you that it was some sort of weird religious metaphor. But given that the gods involved there, John is so flawed, stands by while people are murdered, is totally complicit in the evils of vigilantism among his colleagues, and guilty of them himself, killing an innocent man, for example, for the greater good. You know, this shows that the vigilante mentality is screwed up. Okay, so I don't think that solution of blowing up, I don't think that is a permanent solution. Even though at the end of the movie, and I guess at the end of the book, they show the world reconciling, I think there's every reason in that movie to believe that, you know, the movie is smart enough to know that history goes on, and that this fear will not keep us united forever, but rather dependent on this vigilante, this counterproductive, self-denying vigilante concept of justice. And so I think, you know, you can take the end of the movie as redeeming to certain characters. You know, they don't kill the evil guy. That John, the good guy, you know, sees the wisdom of this evil guy's way. But John wasn't really a good guy. You know, he's part of an oppressor. He helped a right-wing government keep control and perpetrate its hegemony in the world. I mean, so the fact that there's these turnarounds and everybody's kind of okay with each other, except for one guy that has to be killed in the end, you know, that doesn't mean those people are actually redeemed. Because that one guy in the end did need to be killed. If they were really trying to say, oh, and then it was all well, and we realized that this plot was as good as we could get, and let's go with it, then, you know, the Rorschach character would have agreed, and they all would have went their separate ways. But the fact that John has to murder him, I think it shows that that final solution was not final, and the final comments of the movie are not about this having been a good plan or working. It was about how screwed the world is in this situation, about how John still doesn't care about the people, how he can't possibly care about the people even if he wants to. So, yeah, I thought it was a pretty good movie. But, yeah, we have different tastes in sci-fi, evidently. I'd be curious to know what science fiction film or episodic work you do like or think is worthy as film and literature. Okay, bye.